All right. Once again, thank you so much for being here. My name is Travis Flaherty. I couldn't be more excited to be here with you tonight to talk about the IX global opportunity that is absolutely on fire right now. What you can expect here this evening is to learn more about, number one, an exciting business opportunity called IX Global that is impacting the world and educating the world on how to be able to take control of your financial situation. We believe that financial illiteracy is a major epidemic in the world today. And the foundational principles of this company were to empower, educate, inform people to be able to make well-informed decisions with their finances. So we're going to learn a little bit more about the history of IX Global. We're going to be diving into a very exciting new product offering. We just recently brought on board and merged with a company called Driven Trading. So you're going to be learning about the opportunity that is associated with that tonight. We're also going to be getting into the exciting DebtBox X Node products that are now available around the world and just making a tremendous impact. So with that, we are going to go ahead and get started tonight. First and foremost, you should know that I am not a financial advisor. The information that I'm sharing here this evening is for education purposes only. There is risk involved with cryptocurrency in the NFT market. It is unregulated. You know, the point is to be able to educate yourself. So once again, you can make a well-informed decision. You know, I look at what's going on in the world today right now and not making a decision and ultimately allowing the markets to dictate your future, or inflation, or the devaluation of the dollar. All of these things are also risky. So you have to choose your risk. And at the end of the day, our goal is to be able to present additional options for you. Now, what we do offer is education. We offer software and we offer hardware. So once again, do your own research, use this information at your own risk. So let's start off tonight by talking about just what's going on in the world. It's an interesting time in the world. You know, you look at what's happening in the stock market, for example. Last year alone, people lost over $9 trillion in the stock market. 401ks are turning to 301ks. Retirees lost $5 trillion in the stock market last year alone. You know, I was on the phone with a friend. I was on the phone with a good friend of mine recently who was sharing with me that she had lost well over $150,000 in her stock market, in her portfolio, in the last 12 months. I've been talking to people who say, I'm afraid to even look at my statements right now. And the thing about that is by not looking, essentially what we're doing is we're leaving it to chance, right? And I've always felt that hope is not a good business plan. And so what we are doing is we are helping people, educating people about different options and allowing them to be able to take control, to be able to self-direct their retirement funds, and ultimately to be able to put that money to work for them. So the stock market right now is struggling. And if you think about it, you know, when my parents' generation, they were up and coming, you know, they were taught to go to school and get good grades and to be able to put a little bit of money away every single month, you know, long term, so that 40 years later, they'll be able to retire with a little bit of money in the bank. The challenge with that is right now, you have those same individuals, my parents, that are now living off of that money. They're now pulling money out of the stock market. But the up and coming generation, especially my son's generation, he's 22 years old. He kind of jokes around. He says, Dad, you know what? You're not quite a boomer, but you represent fiat currency. He says, you know, my generation, we represent cryptocurrency, digital currency. We don't want to go to a bank. We don't want to carry around dollars. And so here's the thing. While you know, our parents' generation was investing in the stock market, the up and coming generations, you know what they're buying? They're buying Bitcoin. So you now have more people that are pulling out of the stock market that are putting money into the stock market. And I'm going to tell you guys something. Old ways will not open new doors. Times are absolutely changing. And that can be reflected. You know, this is the financial market stability risk indicator. And if you look, just for a dose of perspective, the current reading right now is below that seen during the Great Recession and the dot-com bubble. What does that mean? It means that major investors are standing on the sidelines on stocks because they're not confident in what is to come. So once again, this is a new world economy that we live in. And if we fail to adapt, and if we fail to innovate, we are going to continue to see people struggling and suffering. And then, of course, you know, it's difficult to not, you know, see what's happening right now with inflation, you know, rising costs of everything across the board. You know, you've got, you know, we're paying anywhere from, $6 to $12 for a dozen eggs, depending on where you live. And it's not just inflation, right? I mean, the consumer goods have gone up anywhere from 19% to 45% across the board. Do you realize that consumer debt right now, consumer debt is as high as it was during the Great Depression? I was reading an article yesterday that was saying that 17% of car loans are now at risk of serious delinquency. Why? Because interest rates have gone up. People are paying more money for cars. They're paying more money for homes. They're paying more money for their houses, and all of the credit card debt is accumulating. And at a certain point, there has to be a give. So guys, there are tough times ahead, and there are solutions. I think about, the US dollar, for example. The US dollar prior to 1971 was backed by gold. That means that the government was not able to print a dollar unless it had the equivalent in gold. But right around that time, Richard Nixon said, you know what? We're going to remove the gold standard. And since that time, the dollar has lost 86% of its overall value. If you look at the banking system, guys, the banking system right now is absolutely wrecking your savings. They're absolutely wrecking your savings. First of all, we won't even get into the conversation tonight about who is the Federal Reserve, right? Who are these individuals? Because it's not a federally run agency, right? It's a group of individuals that started the Federal Reserve, but you have the Federal Reserve that ultimately has this one word that they use to describe currency, the dollar, and that is we're flexible. We're flexible when it comes to how much money we are going to print. And unfortunately, if you look at the amount of money that's been printed over the last 5 years, there's been more money printed over the last few years than there's been printed in every year combined before that. So what they're doing is while you go to work and you work hard to be able to save money, right? They used to say the best way to double your money is to fold it in half and put it back into your pocket. And you know what? There's some truth to that, right? Because too many people are buying dumb things that they don't need to impress people that they don't really even like. So there's a lot of wisdom in that. But the problem with that is now when you fold that dollar bill and you put it into your pocket and you sit on it, unfortunately, the Fed and the banking system is continuing to circulate and flood the market with more currency. And so the value of that dollar that is now sitting in your pocket is going down. The buying power of that dollar is going down. So the challenge is how do we get ahead? I'm going to say this, and I want you to hear me. You cannot outsave inflation and the current devaluation of the dollar. I'll say that again. You cannot outsave inflation and the current devaluation of the dollar. We need to start thinking like the banks do, right? So the banks, they used to be required to have at least 10% on reserve of all of the money that's deposited in their bank, right? That's been removed recently. Now it's down to 2%. That means that if all of us today went into the bank and said, hey, listen, we want our money, they don't have it. You know why? Because they're taking your money that they're paying you a fraction of a percent on in your savings account. Great. So instead of 9% inflation, you're at 8.5% inflation. So they're taking your money, and you know what they're doing with it? They're going out and investing it. And you know what they're investing in? Bitcoin. JP Morgan just replaced their recommended alternative asset class with real estate. And you know what they replaced it with? Cryptocurrency. So here's the thing. If major banks, major corporations, and major governments now have cryptocurrency on their balance sheet, then shouldn't we be considering the same thing? You see, one of the success formulas that I've subscribed to since I was young, and it's served me well as an entrepreneur over the last 25 years, is to figure out where people are going and get there faster. And I can tell you right now that the digital currency trends are absolutely exploding. If you look at business in general, we've gone from brick and mortar to click and order, and guess what's next? Digital currency, digital payments. Why? Because it's faster, it's cheaper, it's more efficient, and nobody wants to go to the bank anymore. And I can tell you this, I can tell you that I am tired of walking into a bank with money and them grilling me on where did this money come from? And if I want to send money, what's it for? You know what it's for? None your business, because it's my money. And I'm tired of that regulation. And that's the reason why cryptocurrency was born in the first place. Now, with all of these challenges that are out there, and we believe that financial illiteracy is the true epidemic in the world today. And what do I mean by that? We were taught since we were little to go make money, right? Everything that we've done since we were little was focused on education, get a job, make money. But that's usually where the education stopped. And unfortunately, it's not just about making money. It's about managing your money. And it's about learning how to multiply your money. And that's where people fall short. I'm going to tell you guys, it's one thing to make money, right? I think that the majority of the world, they've figured out, if you go to work and you trade time for dollars, you can figure out how to exchange that dollar for a paycheck. And if you provide more and more value, then you can increase the amount of money that you're making. The challenge is there's only so many hours in the day, and it's very difficult to get ahead. And right now, when you have inflation and you have the rising cost of goods, I can promise you that employers that are out there aren't going, well, man, everything's going up, so I'm just going to give you a raise too, just so that you can keep up. It doesn't happen, right? So most people have figured out how to make money, but I'm going to tell you something. Once you start making money, it's an entirely different situation learning how to manage it. I used to be really, really good at not just making money, but spending it. I'm telling you, it's like a skill. I could spend money just as fast as I was making it. And I had to sit back and really evaluate, and I had to start learning how to manage the funds that I was making. And now, with the help of IX Global and some great mentors, I'm learning how to multiply that money. And that is exactly why IX Global was founded. It was founded in 2020, right mid-2020, right at the peak of COVID, this company launched. They did 4.6 million in sales in their first year. Now, second year, they generated $22 million in sales. By third year, 2022, we just wrapped up $206 million in revenue. Guys, that's a tremendous amount of momentum. In our world, in the world of direct sales and home business, momentum is a network marketer's best friend. Why? Because it's referred to as the great exaggerator. It amplifies everything. It turns the ordinary into the extraordinary. And you can accomplish in a matter of 6 to 12 months what it might take you 3 to 5 years in another company. And right now, we have the #1 momentum company in the entire world. One of the things that we are focused on is helping people to develop what I call IPAs. IPAs are income producing assets. What's an income producing asset? It could be real estate. It could be a home-based business. Anything that pays you passive residual income. Why residual? Because residual income gives you back the most valuable commodity on the planet. It is your time. Your time to be able to do the things that you want to do rather than the things that you have to do. And if we stop spending money on things that we don't need, and we take that money and we direct it into income producing assets that start generating more income, and then we take that revenue and then we go out and acquire more income producing assets, the ultimate goal is what? Freedom. Your financial freedom day, the day that you no longer have to trade time for dollars, you can do the things that you want to do rather than the things that you have to do. How many of you have sat down and you have a very clear picture of exactly what that financial freedom day looks like? You see, many of you haven't done that. And that's the challenge, because without a vision, people will perish, right? Without knowing exactly where you're going, any route will do. And so ultimately what we are doing is helping people to establish these income producing assets. And one of the things that has recently happened is we have brought on one of the most amazing platforms from an educational standpoint to teach you how to start learning how to trade money, which is an incredible skill set. And so I am proud to be able to bring on my good friend, somebody that I've known now for almost a decade. We've worked together for many, many years. He is one of the top traders in the world. He has developed a platform called Driven Trading that we could not be more excited to be welcoming into the IX community. And so with that, Mr. Cory Kromray, are you with us tonight?
I am, buddy. Can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you, brother. And I am fired up tonight, and I am so excited to have you here. Would you mind, I would love it if you would just take a few minutes here and talk to us about your vision of Driven Trading. What makes this so unique and so special, and why should our listeners focus on getting on this platform?
Well, very easy. As you can see on the screen, guys, I truly believe that learning how to trade the financial markets and learning the skill set of reading price charts is the single most valuable skill that you could possibly be learning right now in today's day and age. For example, when Travis showed that slide of, how the stock market lost $9.5 trillion last year, I actually had one of my best years ever. I did over 150% on my portfolio by understanding how to trade market volatility. We have an organization of thousands of people that, were able to do the same thing, and that's just really cool to see that you can pass on that skill. It's not a hard skill to learn. The discipline and the patience is a lot harder than the actual technical aspect of trading. But, I got into the trading industry when I was, in my mid-20s, 2012, trading penny stocks. And, I went through this whole phase of understanding that, if I learned this skill, this could potentially be the last skill I ever have to learn for the rest of my life to make money. And then I went on the education journey. Well, who's going to teach me? And I realized that 95, probably 99% of the people who claim to be able to teach you this skill are just selling you a course, right? They're selling you the idea of making money in these large financial markets, and they have no clue what they're doing, but you don't know as that prospect on the other end of the screen. So you subscribe to their program, you buy their course, you spend thousands of dollars trying to learn, all to just come to the point in realization that they don't know what they're talking about. They might have a system that works for a little while. They might have an algorithm that'll trade your money and it hasn't lost in all this time. And then you put your money in, and sure enough, you just happen to get on the tail end of it and it just implodes your account. So I realized that, number one, the financial markets are very real. There has to be people out there that actually know how to do this. I'm going to seek those people out. And I did, and unfortunately for me, which is actually a good fortunate thing for you, I had to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to learn. And I learned from some of the top portfolio managers in the world. And, I was able to come back into the markets, and I had a top 1% grossing portfolio at one of the largest brokers in the world for 4 consecutive years, went into private equity management, did everything that I thought was going to, create that freedom for me. But I ultimately took this skill that was supposed to create freedom in my life, and I ended up sitting behind a computer screen for 5 years of my life, 5 days a week, making rich people richer. And I just didn't have any passion in that. And at the same time, Travis, I saw all these education programs coming out there, taking advantage of people. This isn't one of those things that you can just sign somebody up and have them buy a coffee and have coffee stocked in their shelves. This is people's financial well-being. And I just got sick and tired of seeing it. And I realized that I had the information to do something about it. And I had a team of people that also had big hearts and big vision for wanting to change the world and change people's lives. We assembled that team. We run that team like a Wall Street hedge fund. We have a lot of licensed educators with security licenses, people that have managed multi-million-dollar portfolios that actually do this for a living. We trade our live accounts in the trade rooms, TD Ameritrade. You can't fake it. And we are one of the most transparent, if not the most transparent trading education company in the world, with a group of traders that actually make their living from trading, right? We've developed all of our strategies, everything that we know, right, from A to Z. If you've never looked at a chart before in your life, the very basic beginner of education, we have a 90-day roadmap of this is what I wish I would have learned in my first 90 days as a trader. All of our educators' exact strategies of how they make all of their money out of the market, 8, 10, 12, 15% month over month. That's what a typical portfolio does in a year in good years, right? This is what they're doing per month. And we teach everything that we know. We don't leave anything out there. We don't say, here's a taste of it, and you have to pay 25 grand to get the rest. We put it all out there because we truly believe that this is the skill that can change people's lives all around the world. Travis said it actually best. He said, it was one thing to make money, but understanding how to manage that money and multiply that money, right? These are things that we're never taught. So, while I'm breathing air, Travis, I'm going to tell you right now, I got a lot of air left to breathe in my lifetime. I'm going to be bringing this skill set to people around the world with the best education team that can exist. We take everything that we teach you in the courses, everything that you learn in our academy, and 6 days a week, multiple times a day, we take you live into the markets. You can look over our shoulder, follow us on exactly what we're doing, see where we're entering the market, see where we're getting out of the market. We have technology that you can follow along with and earn money while you're learning the skill. We send all of our trading ideas right to the app. And this is stuff that we do every single day. And, we just love it, Travis. We love this business. We love trading. We love helping people. Our community has grown to thousands of members this year. Just our first year in business, we had over 4,500 members subscribe. I've been fortunate to do events all over the country. I'm excited about the international expansion with IX Global now, but, at every single event, there's a statistic out there that says 95% of people who try to trade, who try to become retail traders in the market, they fail. At every single event I've done, we've done probably 25 events this year. At every single event I've done, I always open up every event the same way. If you're making money on your live account with Driven Trading, please stand up. And we have between 60 and 65, maybe 70% of that room standing every single time. So I know it works. And I know that if people can be disciplined enough to learn from the right educators, it's not a get rich quick, but it's a get rich for sure if you follow the course, right? And, of course, some people catch on, earlier than other people. But if you stay the course and you learn from us, I can tell you right now that your life can change forever. I don't think there's any skill more essential to the American dream or any dream out there for that matter than learning how to make money with your money. And it's just another way to produce income, Travis. So I love it, brother.
I love it as well. And you know what? You guys are providing some excellent education, professional traders, licensed traders, legal, ethical, which is very, very important because there's a lot of platforms that are out there that aren't doing it the right way, or they're leading people down a path where they're providing services that quite frankly aren't legal. One question that I have for you, and this comes up often is, I believe that education is ultimately our greatest weapon, right? And we're learning through spaced repetition. That's why I love that you guys do these live trading sessions every day, because we can see and interact and even ask questions. But my question for you is for somebody that maybe, like myself, it's busy. And I got to tell you, I watched, I've watched a lot of trading different educational platform videos and things, and they'll be like, okay, do you see the candlestick? And I'm like, no, I just see a bunch of lines. And so it's just not registering with me yet. And so I'm excited to learn a little bit more from you guys. But, I'm one of these people that just wants to, this is a professional trader. This is Cory. He's got a great track record. Is there a way for me just to emulate what you're doing? I'm still in control. I have control of the decisions and ultimately the trades that I'm making, but can I just copy what you're doing if that's something that we want to do? Is that available?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that we've invested in this last year, we actually hired a team of programmers from JP Morgan, actually, and we developed an application, cost about $250,000 for us to get this out into the market. And every single time we're entering the market, whether it be S&P 500, NASDAQ, Forex, GBP, JPY, right? Whatever the market is, right? If it trades, we trade it. We got a professional educator in each division. And then we have a team of educators underneath those senior level educators. We send out all of our trade ideas. We send out our profit targets. You can copy and paste the data right into your own broker. We don't take any investment money. You open your own broker of your own choice. You supply it with your own money. You're in 100% control of your funds at all time. We show you how to calculate your risk. You get to literally copy and paste the data right into your broker, and you can be on your way to great success. We publish our entire track record, full performance, fully audited every single 90 days, and in real-time calculation. You can see pips won, pips lost, points gained, points lost. You get to see the net points positive per trader. You get to see how many times they're hitting their second target, third target, and fourth target, what percentage of their trades are hitting those targets, so you know how long to hold those positions for. We've covered every single end of the spectrum, Travis. I'm super excited about it. We even have more technology that we can deploy with the app, where it's actually fully hands-free trade management. So ultimately, after you position that trade, it will actually manage that position with software for you, like a professional money manager on Wall Street would manage that money for you. So obviously, once we get through some of the legality stuff with Joe and the team, we can deploy that, and we have a lot of stuff that we can do. And really, our goal is to take all the white noise that exists in the market, simplify it, teach you the proven strategies and methods that have consistently won over time, and show you exactly how to deploy those strategies and harvest money out of the markets. All that other stuff, this pattern, that pattern, this pattern, that, you don't need to know that. You need to know certain entry techniques, how to calculate risk to reward properly, and ultimately you could be a 50% accuracy trader with the right strategy and become a multi-millionaire in this industry.
Okay, so I've seen a lot of programs in coaching and training, and I mean, they're thousands of dollars. I mean, even sometimes $5,000 or $10,000 or $20,000 to be able to get into these type of programs. And so I'm expecting that this is going to be pretty expensive for our community, for our members, right? I mean, if you're a member, a wholesale member here of IX Global, What are you talking about? $1,000, $2,000, like, what are we talking here?
So here's the funny thing, Travis. So back in 2019, when I came back into the education space, I got approached by the largest broker in the United States to develop a trading education platform for them that specifically focused on one market, the S&P 500 E-mini futures. We were going to deploy that course in 2019, October. They wanted to charge $25,000 for entry and locked people in on a 12-month, $3,000 a month contract before they even funded their broker account. Obviously, it didn't sit well with me. I was one of these guys. I wanted to go out to the masses, take Wall Street to Main Street, right? I sat behind my computer for the 5 years previous, making rich people richer. I was trying to go out to the average, ordinary guy that had unordinary dreams and goals in life and help that person be successful. I wanted to take it globally. This isn't a skill that should be just, set aside for certain people. This is something that should be available to everybody. And I wanted to make it like that. They didn't agree with me. I walked away from the deal. Fast forward a couple years, launched my own company, and previous to IX Global, we were charging $2,000 for entry and $200 a month, right? That was our fee for everything, right? I wanted to come into the market at a very concise price where people had skin in the game. They took it seriously, but ultimately, $2,000 was the price. Now merging with IX Global and expanding the community and seeing all the international presence that we have with this company and with this merger, we've decided to launch this product, everything, the entire academy, crypto, binary options, Forex, indices, futures, options coming soon from a Wall Street major player, right? Series 65, Series 99, Series 3, right? One of the top. And all of that, we've actually decided to give to the community, especially for this whole first year and probably moving forward. We'll see how it goes for $50 as a $50 bolt on. You absolutely have nothing to lose and everything to gain. And that's our commitment to you guys to prove our worth and to earn your trust with our efforts. $50 is what it costs. You get access to everything, Travis.
That's incredible. $50 a month to be able to have live trading, essentially live coaching, if you will, right? And not just that, but to be a part of the community, right? The community that of all of these different traders and educators that are teaching you some of these incredible skills. Cory, we couldn't be more excited to have you. Want to welcome the entire Driven family here to IX Global. Would you mind sticking around with me just a little bit? We're going to go through some
Absolutely.
more slides, talk a little bit about the X nodes, and I may call on you here again in just a few minutes. Let's keep it rocking and rolling. So with that, let's go ahead and dive into debt. Now, the word debt, if you're hearing this or seeing this for the first time, you might think, or even have a negative connotation with debt. And we agree with you. Debt is, it is plaguing our society today, because here's what happens. People go out and they buy things that they don't need. They get themselves into debt, and then they go to work, and the money that comes in that should be going into a trading platform like Driven is now going into what? Making payments, paying interest on things that you shouldn't necessarily have at this point, but we go out and do it anyways. And so what we are doing here is focusing on eliminating debt. That is the number one focal point of debt. Debt also stands for decentralized, eco-friendly blockchain technology. If you take a look at what's going on in the cryptocurrency space right now, it's good and bad. You've got the good and you've got the bad. First of all, let's talk about the good. The good is that digital currency was launched 12 years ago as a means to get the government out of the middle of our transactions. Hallelujah, right? To be able to allow us to be able to transact, a peer-to-peer network where there's not people that are telling you what to do, when to do it, or how much you can do, or even telling you that you can't do it at all. I've heard recently where there is a war going on between banks and cryptocurrency behind the scenes. It's not because they don't like cryptocurrency. They're holding cryptocurrency. They just don't want your money leaving their platform. They don't want you taking your money offline. Because why? Because you keep them in business. They're making tons of money on you. So there's a major war that is going on right now with cryptocurrency. And so here's the thing. What cryptocurrency has done in the last 12 years is unbelievable, right? I mean, they've come out and essentially people said, no way, no, this is just for criminals. This is a bad thing. And there was nobody even, to go get Bitcoin. It was like, where do you get Bitcoin? Well, you got to go find somebody that's selling it. Well, where do I meet him? You got to meet him in a dark alley somewhere. Like, that's where it was 12 years ago, right? Everybody's like, how do you get Bitcoin? I don't know. You got to find somebody selling it. Then all of a sudden, 12 years later, we're seeing it on Super Bowl commercials. We're seeing cryptocurrency on stadiums. We've seen major adoption. 4% of the population today currently has a cryptocurrency wallet. That may not seem like a big number, but it's actually a huge number. But here's the thing. it's projected to grow to 10% over the next 12 to 24 months. That is insane. You know what? Figure out the trends, figure out where people are going and get there faster. But here's the question you have to ask yourself. What's going to be the catalyst that moves us from 4% to 10%? Now that question can make you a fortune if you really explore it, right? Because it's all about solving problems, making it easier. Well, what are some of the problems with cryptocurrency? We've got the good, we've got the bad. Well, the bad is meme coins, right? We've got these cute little tokens that have puppy dog faces on them that look really cool, right, Cory? They're really, really cool. And they have zero utility. Like some of them were literally created as a joke. They were pumped up artificially by celebrities. And the FOMO sets in and people are running to buy this stuff. You know why? Because their neighbor who has zero education and knowledge is telling them, you got to go get this because it went up for me. And so all of a sudden it starts to go up and up and up and up and up. And you know what? The people that are holding all those coins, you know what they do? They're just smiling because once it hits an all-time high, they sell, bottom falls out and crashes, right? So you've got a lot of these meme coins and pump and dump coins that have no intrinsic value. Cory, I've heard that as much as 97% of the coins, altcoins, the different tokens and coins that are out there have no intrinsic value whatsoever. What are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely correct. Yeah, probably even more than that, but 97% for sure. The majority of these tokens, these coins that, a lot of people get excited about. I'm just letting you know, when you're getting excited about that, people are excited that you're getting excited. And as soon as it hits that certain point, right, you're going to see it tumble, right? You see people with the Doge coins and the, Shiba and all that stuff. I mean, what's actually there? What's behind it? What's the utility behind it? What's the use case for it? What's it solving, right? Those are questions you got to ask yourself.
Great questions. And here's the thing. The last bull run was driven by a lot of this speculation, manipulation, hype. A true asset should not fluctuate 80% just because Elon Musk tweets about it. I'm an Elon fan, but it still should not take an asset and move it 80% or 90% one way or the other. And so, if you look at the future and what that catalyst is going to be, it is asset-backed cryptocurrency. Cory, what's the projected number that cryptocurrency backed by assets is looking at over the course of the next 5 to 10 years?
So tokenization of assets is easily looking at 50 trillion plus. It'll be the biggest industry that we've ever seen in our lifetime.
It is the future. So we're talking about making a shift here from speculation and hype to tangibility, right? And legitimacy to true substance. And that is exactly what D.E.B.T is doing. And let's talk a little bit about how. So first of all, D.E.B.T was recently named IX Global as the exclusive wholesaler of all of their different licenses. So we're going to be talking a little bit more about what those licenses represent tonight. But we here at IX Global have the exclusivity and the ability to be able to deliver these licenses and all of D.E.B.Box's projects directly to you at wholesale pricing. So where did it all start? So D.E.B.Box has a long-standing history of mining physically, in addition to being involved in mining on the digital side. This is 15 years in the making. They go way back, where they were physically mining oil and gold and precious metals in Ghana and other markets. About 7 years ago, they pioneered a technology that has the ability to be able to scan the Earth using satellites. We've been utilizing the same satellite that brings you Google Earth images. We started by leasing space on those satellites, and we have the ability to be able to read frequencies that allow us to be able to pick up different commodities, different elements that are in the ground. We're talking about oil, natural gas, silver, gold, palladium, you name it. We have the ability to be able to locate it. But I'm not talking about, hey, it's in this geographical plot of land that's maybe with, a 5 mile or 5 acre radius. We're talking about within a few feet in the ground. Now, who would that serve? Why would that be valuable? Think about the exploratory companies that are out there, oil companies, for example, that are drilling hole after hole after hole that are dry, where they're searching for the oil, they haven't been able to find it. Or, companies that are trying to figure out how do they enter into a chamber to maximize the extraction process. Those are the companies that this type of technology serves. And it was at that moment that they said, you know what, we don't want to be on this side of the equation. We want to be facilitating. We want this industry to be more efficient, not just, they're capitalists, they want to make money, but to be able to serve our planet, right? Because going out and drilling these holes and strip mining land is not a great thing to do for the world that we live in. And so, they decided to become and have become the Uber of the mining industry. What do I mean by that? It means that think about Uber. They're the largest transportation company in the world that has no cars. VRBO is the largest vacation company in the world that has no vacation homes. What they are doing is they are providing services with their scan technology that allow these different companies to be able to be more efficient, to be able to save a tremendous amount of money, and in return, they receive royalties. So this is our debt council, Jake and Jason Anderson, Roy Nelson, and Shad Brannon. Roy and Shad head up the physical side of the company. We just had Shad on recently and did a wonderful, Roy on recently and did a wonderful interview with him. There's some great interviews out there with Jason that explain the digital side and essentially how they balance each other out. They are the first company, to my knowledge, in the world that is literally doing mining on this side and this side. And the entire purpose behind what they are doing is to bring you tokens that are backed by real world assets. Think about the dollar. The dollar used to be backed by gold. It had value. They removed the gold standard. What happened to the value? From that point forward, it was very easy to manipulate, and they continue to manipulate it based on how? Just printing currency. So the debt company came out with the idea of introducing their first token called Black Gold. This was about 1.5 years ago. It was backed by many different oil wells that we had both in the United States and Ghana, but more specifically, it was backed by the royalties from those oil wells that were coming in. And so as the royalties come in, they take those royalties, and that ultimately supports the value of the token. I'll explain a little bit more here in just a moment. But Cory, you had a chance to be able to learn about and see firsthand, how the operation works. And you asked Jason a very interesting question about how do we know we're going to get paid? Are we waiting until they're profitable and we get paid from their profits? Do you mind elaborating on that question that you asked when you were there?
Yeah. So first and foremost, ultimately, when I was looking at this, it's like, the only thing that I have to solve in my mind is if this is real, it will change the world. And, there really wasn't any gray area. It's either real or it's not real. So I said, okay, once I found out that it was actually real, they do have these oil wells, they are mining. I said, okay, well, what if these people stop paying? Like, let's say this big oil field that you have here in Nebraska, what if they just stop sending the check? Wouldn't that hurt the token? And they're like, our contract isn't with the oil well in Nebraska. It's with the state of Nebraska. We get paid as they pull their taxes. And that's how all of our contracts are all around the world. They're with the governments. I mean, that's incredible, right? And then that's like, once I heard that, I was like, okay, these guys clearly know what they're doing, right? I didn't have to ask too many more questions.
Well, they launched this token, and this token started off and it just shot up during a time where, mind you, the rest of the cryptocurrency industry was crashing, right? One of the biggest crashes we've seen in quite some time. And Black Gold went up over 120,000% at its peak. At that point in time, we were creating a millionaire, a 7-figure portfolio holder every 3 days inside of our ecosystem. And it garnered a lot of attention in the industry. The biggest challenge we had was when we launched, we paired with BNB, which is Binance, from a liquidity standpoint, so that people could go on and be able to cash in their tokens. The problem is BNB was doing this with the rest of the industry. So we unpaired from BNB and we launched our own utility token, the debt token. We launched it just over a year ago at a penny. Today, I haven't looked at in the last couple of days. It was about $25 the other day. We just hit a all-time high in January of $40 per token. I would challenge anybody that's watching this presentation, watching it live or on the replay, to go find me a token in the last 12 months that has performed at the level that the debt token has performed, going from a penny to where we are today in that short a period of time. What does that tell you? It tells you that people want to see tangibility. It is proof of concept of what it is that we are doing here. So, this is an example of one of our first partners that we brought on. We scan the land. You can see the different depths, the different, elements that we were able to read. From there, this was a company that said, we believe this is a well that was drilled in the 50s and 60s. We thought that it had gone dry. With your technology, if you can prove to us that this is real, we'll pay you a royalty. So we brought our satellites over. We scanned the land. You can see in the green, that was the well that they drilled in the 50s and 60s. The pink was the well that they didn't know existed. We helped them find a 20 million barrel of oil well, enough to extract 5 million barrels of oil a day over the course of the next 20 years. Do you think that they were happy to pay us a 5% royalty for helping them find that? So here's really this is what it comes down to. What makes us different? What makes us unique? Well, It all comes back to supply and demand economics. So if you have a large supply of something and you have a low demand, what happens to price? Flat, goes down, right? What happens if you have a low supply and a high demand? Just think about the housing industry in the last few years, right? It goes up. Simple supply and demand economics. How are we different? Every single project, every single token that we've introduced is backed by an asset. It's backed by a real world commodity that is in high demand. What does that do? It brings substance. It brings tangibility. Instead of meme coins and pump and dumps and all the puppy dog coins that have no intrinsic value, you now have a token that does what? It's designed to provide stored value. Now, I want you to imagine that every single token that we have has a, let's just say it's almost like its own separate company. It has its own separate trust. And those trust managers are market buyers that have one job. All the royalties come in from the oil wells into the trust for black gold. All the royalties that come in from the natural gas partners go into the natural gas trust. They take that money and they buy up tokens out of the ecosystem. That's it. That's all they're doing. And they send it to a burn wallet. What's a burn wallet? It's a wallet where those coins go and they're out of circulation. Think about Bitcoin every 4 years has a halving. Corey, what's historically happened every 4 years with the halvings of Bitcoin?
Well, I mean, the market explodes. Bitcoin explodes. The bull run kicks in, right after the halving. That's if you go look historically at all of the bull runs in Bitcoin, they have happened right after the halvings.
So why is that happening? What's happening? Why is that happening?
Shrinking the supply, shrinking the availability, right? It's and ultimately having Travis just explaining it for everybody. So, I'm sure there's a lot of new people on that don't understand it. It says, if I can produce this amount of Bitcoin in 1 year, it now takes me 2 years to produce that same amount when it goes through that halving process, right? So now you're talking about a lot harder equations to solve to even be able to mine that Bitcoin. So here, what these guys are doing when they're actually buying out a whole bunch of the supply of these tokens and sending them to a burn wallet, they're eliminating those tokens forever. And then at the same time, they're also going through these halvings every single year. Some are even every 6 months. I don't even know but wasn't there some even that are doing them quarterly or something? It's like, it's crazy. I've never seen tokenomics so clean in my life. I actually have to say, just in a short amount of time, I think the tokenomics of these projects are better than the tokenomics of any cryptocurrency project that exists in the market today.
I couldn't agree with you more. When I met with Jason for the first time, and I really truly grasped what we were doing here, I told my wife Summer, I said, I feel like every time I meet with them, I'm meeting with the guys that started Ethereum, they're truly genius at the tokenomics. And that's really where it leads back to the overall utility. What's our utility? It's right here, guys. Very simple. People are tired of the fluctuation in the meme coins. Our goal, Bitcoin, you think about it, Bitcoin has that halving and it goes up and all of a sudden it crashes and we all sit there and look at it and say, do something for the next 2 years. And the market goes into another crypto winter until the next halving. Well, what if we could reduce that volatility by having annual halvings and by doing burns every single month? And now some of our newer projects are even having quarterly halvings. Well, that's the overall objective here, is to reduce that volatility and to bring real world value into the cryptocurrency space. Now, remember what we talked about before. What's going to be the catalyst that moves that number from 4% to 10%? My father will not buy cryptocurrency. You know why? Too volatile. I'm not getting into that. It's too volatile. But what if we could bring in some stored value? We could minimize that volatility and give people more consumer confidence in cryptocurrency. What would happen? More specifically, how do I get some of those tokens when they're just launching? Because I believe in the utility. And I know that we are raising the bar in the cryptocurrency space. And I know where the crypto industry is going. So if I can get my hands on those tokens right now and accumulate as many of them as I can in a down market, man, what's the potential on those tokens in 2 to 3 years, Corey? Now we're talking about something really, really special. And not just that, guys, it's not just about bringing real world value. We have brought mining into the mainstream. How? Mining used to be really complicated. You had to go buy equipment that was super big and clunky and expensive, and it only lasted for about 12 months. And you need to go buy it again, and you have to set it up, and you have to keep it air cooled. And the average person couldn't do it. They just couldn't do it. Now, what we've been able to do through D.E.B.T is they have pioneered and introduced one of the coolest platforms, software systems that I have ever seen. It makes it so simple that all you have to do is essentially buy the software license, they activate it, and then you watch your rewards come in every day. Like, that's it. Like, if you can click withdraw, congratulations, you can be successful here. You know that this is the only company that I've been a part of, Cory, that you literally don't have to do anything, recruit anybody at all. You don't have to go out and share the message with anybody, and you get paid every single day. And that is what is exciting. So a node's very simple, guys. Node is kind of a funny word. As you get into crypto, you start to hear these new words that you've never experienced before. All a node is, it's software, or it can be hardware. And the overall objective is to reinforce the blockchain by helping to validate transactions. That's it. That's all it's doing. And as you buy a node, your license, your node gets connected online to the other network of node holders. And all they do is they validate transactions and they share in the rewards every single day. That's it. And here's the beautiful thing. It's perpetual, Cory. It doesn't stop mining. This isn't a 10-year contract, right? They take all the rewards and they divide them up. You know, they use 4,000 days as the mathematical equation to divide it up amongst the shareholders, but it renews every single day. These are licenses that I'll be passing on to my children and my children's children. So let's talk about how it works. Step one, you buy a mining license. It gets activated automatically. Step two, you start earning daily rewards through the mining process. People say, well, can I cash them in? Yep, every single day. Every single one of our projects is 100% liquidity. Every single one of our projects, except for our two newest, because it takes about 60 days, are already listed on exchanges where you can go and cash them in. Step number three, you can either A, cash those tokens in. You can swap them inside of our ecosystem. So even if a project sold out, I can start mining over here with one project, accumulate tokens, and I can swap them for some of those tokens that I want over here in this project. Step number three, I can hold them. And this is one of the most powerful, this is one of the most important things that I could share with you tonight. It's the decisions that you make in a down market. It is the tokens that you accumulate during that same period of time that can build you true wealth over the next few years. But let me tell you something. There's a few different ways that you can accumulate coins. I can go to an exchange and buy it, or I can own the machine or the software that mints those tokens, that brings them into circulation. I don't know about you, Cory, but I'd rather have the ATM that literally people come to every day, and they stick their ATM in, they pull out their money, and I get a transaction fee every time that it's happening. Would you rather be the person that owns the ATM or the person on the other side that's putting your card into the ATM?
Hey, I mean, at the end of the day, I think the ATM holder is the way to go. So if you can't see that, I mean, I don't know what to say, right? It's just like, hey, listen, you might not get that upfront boost right away, but over time and accumulation and a shrinking supply, that long-term sustainability and having those ATM machines, and you can't even really say what it's going to turn into people, but if it does what I think it's going to do, it will be revolutionary. Absolutely, for sure.
Well, what if you could have been one of the first to start putting ATMs out there? You know, what if you were really one of the ones that went around and put these ATMs all over the place, right? Well, that's kind of how I look at this in a way, because we're introducing the first ecosystem that has tokens and coins that are actually backed by something. And we have a chance to be a part of that in the beginning. And why is that so important? Because if you get a license in the beginning and you're one of the first node holders that get online, that's when it's paying out the most amount of tokens. That's why it's so important when these new projects come out, usually every quarter, to jump on those opportunities, because that's when the token payouts are at their highest. And people don't understand accumulation. People think, you know, you got to understand there's a difference between price and value. It's not about price right now. Bitcoin's priced at 22,000. Is that the value? Heck no. I'm buying Bitcoin right now, just holding it. Why? Because I know the next time it goes through another halving, it's probably going to go up over 100,000 this time. So the price and the value are two different things. And in a down market, it's not about price. It's about how many tokens you accumulate. Now, people say, I don't know, is this really real? I've heard, how do I know that there's oil wells? How do I know that there is, true, farmland that's backing the grow token, or that there's really a project with aluminum where they're producing aluminum? Well, guys, we have gone out to we've traveled to Ghana. We're having Bev Day on April 6th, where we're inviting you to come to our latest project, Bev, $1.7 trillion beverage industry. You have the opportunity to come out for yourself and witness it and see it. Go to one of our manufacturing facilities. We do tours of all of these different places, and there's video footage of all of it. You can go and see. I've personally been to the oil wells. I've touched the oil. I've learned from the geologists that literally pioneered and developed the technology. And all of this is available for you. There's no shortage of information for you to go out there and do your due diligence. We had a chance to go. This is our Nebraska oil mine. This particular project is owned by a farmer, 5,000 acres of farmland. For 10 years, partnered with 2 exploratory companies. They drilled hole after hole on his land and could not find the oil. He brought us in. We found 17 targets with our scan technology, and we had the capability. We started with the largest, and we said, here's what we believe the largest chamber of oil is. And we told him that at 7,200 feet, he would tap his first oil well. But we also told him that just under 9,000 feet, there was a reservoir of oil that we believed was a dolomite. A dolomite is a sand dune that produces some of the largest oil reserves in the world. Saudi Arabia is built on dolomite. So he brought in a smaller oil rig, 7,260 feet, he tapped oil. Can you imagine after 10 years what that would have felt like, the millions of dollars that this gentleman has spent? He then brought in this larger machine that you see right here, and that's one of the largest now in the United States. And at 9,200 feet, he tapped a 1,600-acre chamber that had oil and natural gas flowing. The natural gas alone is worth $1.7 trillion. Can you imagine this guy's life and his children's and his legacy is forever forged among this, and just to kind of give you a feel of what this is like as you're walking up to this.
So this is the largest oil drill that you can buy. These are the same ones that Exxon and the big oil giants are using to drill down. And it runs 24 hours, has 18 people, 12-hour shifts, they're rotating. And I don't know if you can see it yet, but right on the side there, you can see the black gold BGLD, baby. And this is just one of the projects that is backed, or that is the crypto project that's backed by real world commodities.
So you guys can go out there. There's plenty of videos. You can learn more. Grow is one of our high yielding agriculture tokens. You know, the food supply chain right now, if you've been paying attention to it, is becoming more and more disrupted. There's an attack on farmers across the board right now. And so what we are doing is we are focused on preserving farmers. In fact, we're focused on helping to empower farmers around the world so that they can continue to do what they do. And this has got a really, really strong humanitarian side to it. We currently have, we have 15,000 acres that are currently in Ghana. Ghana supplies 12% of just cocoa around the world, cocoa butter, cocoa chocolate, for example. And so this is a very, very exciting project, launched about 5-6 months ago. It's kind of the Cinderella story, launched around the same time that natural gas launched, and people were paying attention to natural gas, and all of a sudden this one creeped up on us. I really, really like this project, and some of these licenses are still available, and there's some really cool things that are happening behind the scenes right now. Aluminum, you look at the demand for aluminum over the last 10 years and the next 10 years, it is going through the roof. We've partnered with the Ghana Bauxite Corporation. They're 80 years old. This is a pile of bauxite, which is a clay that turns to aluminum. You can't, the picture doesn't do it justice. You see these trucks that are squared off down here or over here. These are giant Caterpillar trucks. So you can imagine how big this hill is. And these guys have been drilling in Hill 2, mining in Hill 2 for the last 20 years. They thought that they were done with Hill 2 and they were getting ready to go on to the next hill. They brought us in mid last year to help with their efficiency, to help them. They wanted to 5x their production was their goal. So we started scanning their hills, and we realized, and we showed them that they hadn't even literally scratched the surface in Hill 2. There's enough aluminum in these hills to mine for the next 200 years. And if you realize that aluminum is in everything, including the chips that are back ordered everywhere right now, the demand for aluminum is not going to go away. And I own a lot of these licenses. These are licenses that 100 years from now, my great-great-grandchildren, hopefully they'll be passed down to them, and they'll still be reaping the benefits of the licenses that I've purchased here today with this aluminum project. We've got some new projects that are just about to launch. We're within days. We just had to get through one more hiccup here in the United States. As you guys know, regulation is pretty strict here. And so we're working on just jumping that last hurdle here. But what this is really exciting, we actually partnered with MasterCard on this. So for those of you that are wanting validation, I can assure you MasterCard's not just going to partner with anybody, but what we've been able to do is create an entire platform that simplifies getting into cryptocurrency. It's a big challenge still. Crypto's not easy. It's a complicated process, especially if you're new and it's intimidating. And so we've partnered with the Royal Bank of Scotland and MasterCard to be able to bring an entire platform. And guess what? We're tokenizing it. So once again, there will be a token that you'll be able to buy a mining license and be able to participate in one. And if you start to look right now and you look at trends within crypto, we're starting to see this trend. I've started to see other companies, that are American Express and others that are all working on platforms to simplify the process. And we are one of the first in the world to tokenize that. Some of you might say, is there true liquidity? Yes, there is. The debt token is on 7 different exchanges. We are marching towards Binance, which is the big boy. We will hit Binance. That's our goal, internal goal this year, 2023. One of the cool things about that is once we hit Binance, historically speaking, what has happened is you get this effect. It's kind of like almost a company going public effect. All of our projects are paired to the debt token. It's easier to get one coin approved on all of these exchanges than it is to get a dozen with every single project. So we pair everything to the debt token. But what's cool is since we're paired to the debt token, that a rising tide raises all ships scenario. So we are marching towards Binance this year. Again, every one of our projects has 100% liquidity, millions of licenses around the world. There's never been somebody that has not been able to cash in their tokens. I cannot stress the importance of a community of like-minded individuals that believes in you, that is here to educate you and inspire you. We have some of the most gifted educators in the world when it comes to trading, as you've heard tonight, as well as on the cryptocurrency side. And so when you get into crypto, it can be intimidating, but doing it when you are among a community of other like-minded individuals is fantastic. We have amazing events for those of you that are looking to get involved on the business side, want to capitalize on these trends. We have all of these fantastic leadership retreats. We've been to Dubai. We were in Barcelona last year in the fall. We are getting ready to go to the Dominican Republic next month. There is a reason why we did 206 million in revenue. The owner of the company at the beginning of last year stood on stage and said, we're going to do 100 million this year. The previous year, he did 22 million. He says, I don't know how we're going to do it, but we're going to do 100 million. He put it out there in the world. They finished at 206 million. A lot of that has to do with the X nodes that we just brought in-house. We just stood on stage in January this year, and he says, I'm going to do 500 million. Well, folks, I'm going to tell you this right now. If we keep doing what we're doing right now, we will break $1 billion in revenue this year. That will put us among the most elite of elite companies in the world, historically speaking, in this industry. And if you look at the momentum of the company right now, we talked about momentum earlier. We are #1 in the world when it comes to momentum. If you look at the top income earners in the world, we have over 100 of the top earners in the entire world of network marketing currently here at IX Global. That's incredible. And I know that somebody might say, well, I recently looked and Viraj is now #2. Guys, they fluctuate. What I can tell you is he's making $1.4 million a month. And what I do know is that prior to IX Global, he had never made more than $5,000 a month. And that was 2.5 years ago. Cory, 1.5 million a month. I mean, that's some good numbers, right? But I don't think it's going to stop there. I think that number is going to keep going up and up.
Well, the surprising thing is too, to get to 1.5 million a month and to do it in such a short amount of time. You got to think the people that have hit those ranks were in business for years to hit those numbers, right? And you're talking about a company that's not even that old, and you have somebody making that type of money. But what's even more impressive is to have over 100 people in the top 500 in one company. I've never seen that before in the history of this industry, Travis. I've been in this industry since 2008.
Well, it's a special opportunity when, my wife and I have been here now for 7 months, and I can tell you that we have earned well over 7 figures. But that first, 6 figures that we earned, and mind you, that was within the first month that we started, was with less than 300 people in our organization. And for those of you that are in the industry, you'll know that that is significant, because anywhere else to go make 6 figures in a month, Cory, I mean, that would take thousands upon thousands of people to be able to get 10,000. 10,000 people minimum.
Yeah, maybe even more. Yeah.
Well, and a lot of that's attributed to our compensation plan. For those of you that are wanting to build a business, would you rather go to companies that are paying out, 35 cents on the dollar? And don't let them fool you, by the way. You hear these, we pay out 55%, we pay out 60%, well, we pay out 70%. They're talking about the volume. So it's very easy. If you pay in $100 and they give you 40 in volume for it, they can pay out whatever percentage they want, because they're giving you, they're adjusting it on the volume. So we pay out 73 cents on the dollar. How can we do that? Because we don't have the cost of goods that are associated with the products. We don't have to source these ingredients, which, by the way, all costs are going up across the board. And if you look at what's happening in this space right now, the direct sales industry, physical product companies are struggling. They're suffering. And even some of the top leaders, Cory himself recently came out and said, look, in this new world that we're in, our industry is shifting. You need to start looking at digital products. You need to start looking at where the world is going. And if you look at the top companies that are exploding right now, it's all digital. But our compensation plan, we've done something here that just, I've never seen before. We actually have guaranteed income. As you start to hit ranks, and these ranks, these first few ranks, guys, we're not talking about the very, very easy ranks to achieve. This is a weekly pay so that you can generate anywhere from $200 to $500 to $1,000 to $2,000 a week in rank bonuses. And mind you, Cory, this has nothing to do with, a binary. We do have a binary component that pays out left leg and right leg for those of you that understand compensation plans. In a traditional binary, if I build two legs and one dries up and I've got all this volume on the other side, which happens all the time in this industry, Cory, how much do I make? Zero. Because you get paid on your lesser leg. Guys, do you realize that here you can earn up to 6 figures, even if you just have one leg built? And that is with the rank bonus here. So that's how that works. Not going to get into it too much tonight, but I do want you to know that you can earn up to 20% in the team commissions. The caps on this are incredible, up to $2 million a week at our highest ranks. Hopefully, you guys can get by on $2 million a week. There is some rumors that could even go up as well. But here's how it works. So for those of you that are saying, well, I don't really want to be a part of the affiliate side, or I don't want to participate in building a business, no problem. That's okay. I will tell you that I can't even think of the number anymore, people that said, I just want to buy the nodes, don't want anything to do with building the business. So they buy the nodes. You can sign up for $50 wholesale. That gives you, it's like joining Costco. You get a wholesale membership and you have access to the nodes at wholesale. You can go to Debt and buy them. You can go to DebtBox right now and create an account. I don't recommend that you do that because you're going to pay retail. And please don't do that if you're going to buy licenses from us, because that messes up the process. Don't go create an account over at debtbox.com. So for $50, you can become a wholesale member. But here's what happens all the time, Cory. Those people come back to me 2 weeks later and they're like, hey, can you talk to my sister about this? And then another week later, they're like, hey, can you please talk to my in-laws about this? And I'm like, sure, be happy to. I'll just keep earning the commissions for you. Or you can get a referral fee for just bringing them in and you can both buy more licenses. Which would you prefer? So if you have an interest in even participating at that level, just affiliate, getting a referral fee, $115 will allow you to maximize the fullness of the compensation plan. And then we've got some other higher end packages that give you access to some additional services as well. As you heard here tonight, for an additional $50 on top of the $115 or even the $50, you can have access to the Driven trading platform, which I'm still actually blown away at that price point. The more we talked about that tonight, I'm like, like $50? Like that is literally a no-brainer when it comes to the level of education that we're providing. Licenses that we have currently available, DET, NatG, and Black Gold are currently sold out, or they are sold out. But we do have some wonderful products still available. Grow, fantastic project. DLG, digitally linked gold. It's backed by the physical counterpart in gold. It's one of our only projects right now that's non-deflationary, which means we don't have royalties coming in. We're actually backing it by the physical counterpart, a very conservative project. We want to make sure that we give people different options within our ecosystem. There is some rumors that we could see deflationary digitally linked gold, which means the tokenomics, royalties coming in, burns happening. Why are people so excited about that? Because it provides a tremendous upside potential. You're getting three things, right? You're getting stored value, you're getting cash flow, right? But you're also getting that upside potential that people are really excited about. And so we could see that even this month. Aluminum, one of the most undervalued projects that we currently have, in my opinion. We still have some of those licenses left. Explorer is our technology that makes all this possible. Everything that comes in from all of our partners that are utilizing our satellites goes through Explorer, as well as all of the newer projects that we haven't launched yet. And the revenue that's coming in from those projects all reports under the Explorer token. That is the first cryptocurrency that's backed by a satellite in space. And then we have Bev and Blocks. Bev is the first project. It's $1.7 trillion beverage industry. These licenses are 7 weeks old, guys. Beverage, there's only 800 licenses left. That's it. It's the fastest we will ever sell out of a project. First project to ever have quarterly halvings that are happening, as well as those monthly burns. And it's really about helping the highly inefficient beverage industry be more efficient. We have partnered with some manufacturing companies that are out there, and this project has gained some serious momentum. And then Blocks is all about participating in some very, very large commercial real estate deals that you and I maybe wouldn't be able to participate in otherwise. Right now, what's happening with rates that have gone up and everything is builders across the board are being squeezed. And so we are providing some relief, and in the process, we'll be able to create some great royalties from that project that are already happening. I was on the phone yesterday with a guy who is building 24,000 homes in Chicago that could be not more excited to come into our ecosystem and wanting to tokenize some of the things that he's doing. So we've got some great projects that are here. We've got some new projects that are coming out here in the next couple of weeks. The next step is get your membership and buy your node. It's a very simple process. Get your membership, buy your node. If you can't afford to buy a node, we do have rentals that are available. I don't know how long the rental projects and programs will be available. We just pulled NatG. They're no longer available. We'll never see that again. There's a limited window with each project where rentals come out and then they go away for good. But if you're in a position right now where you can't afford to buy a license, you can rent a license for 60 days. They'll drop it into your back office, and all of the tokens that you accumulate during that time are yours to keep. Now, the question is, well, how much am I going to make in 60 days? That's the question I always get. It's not about an ROI in 60 days, guys. In a down market, it's very difficult to, unless you're learning trading skills where, you're learning that side of it. This is about accumulation. This ecosystem and our projects, if you truly understand the tokenomics, you understand that when a project launches, you want to accumulate as many tokens as you can. I could care less about price today. It's about getting my hands on those tokens. Why? Because I know that as they keep burning every month and pulling these tokens out of the circulation, and then they go through that first halving and then that second halving, it's kind of a game of chicken. It's who's going to sell first. And you know what? There will be people that sell. And it is emotional. I'm going to tell you right now, there will be days where you're like, why is the token down? And how come it's not growing? That's cryptocurrency. And then all of a sudden you wake up one day and you're like, what just happened? And it's kind of a game of chicken. And I can tell you that it all comes back for me to, really the utility. I see the value of what we're doing here, Cory. And I'd like to know from you, what are the questions or what are the things that you really had? You had to know that there was backing. What are some other things that you really needed to know to say, hey, I want to be a big node holder here and I want to be a part of this?
I wanted to know that it couldn't be taken away from me, right? If I'm going to go put a bunch of money into this, I'm going to be producing all these tokens. Can it be taken away from me? How do I know that this is my licenses, right? How do I know that these are actually producing what they say they are? And more importantly, with the regulations that are being imposed in the world and banks on crypto, right? All the stuff that's happening, I wanted to know that this program is truly set up to run no matter what. If something happens to the company, if something goes down, do these licenses still pay me? Are these smart contracts like how crypto's supposed to be? Are they truly built in and integrated into the blockchain to where they are deployed and they pay? As long as they're deployed and as long as they're hosted, they pay forever. Can anything take it down? And once I found out how that worked, it was a no-brainer for me. I mean, this is you're talking about the biggest assets in the world backing tokens and a community of hundreds of thousands of people that are supporting the buy and sell of the tokens. I mean, it's the most powerful ecosystem that I've ever seen in business, period. There's no question asked.
For me, I really had to ask myself just a couple of key questions. The first question I had to ask myself is, do I believe that cryptocurrency as a whole is going to become more popular and more prevalent over the next 5 years or less prevalent? And I think that we could all agree that based on the signs that are out there, it's going to be more prevalent. So then the second question that I had to ask myself is, well, if it's going to be more prevalent, are people going to be more inclined to buy those meme coins and pump and dumps that have no real world value that continue to drop 80 to 90%? Or are they more inclined to come into a community and an ecosystem like this where they could buy asset-backed, commodity-backed tokens and coins? Well, again, the answer was obvious to me. I think they're going to want to buy projects that are like this. And so then the only other question that I really had to ask myself is, are these projects that are backed by these assets, are these assets real? And when I went out and stood on the oil rigs and went out to Ghana and met with the foreign minister of oil and gas and got on planes and went to, the farms and met with chiefs and we brought all that footage back to the community, there was no question that it was real. And so I guess the fourth question I would ask myself is if not this, then what? The stock market's a disaster. Cryptocurrency right now is down. And if you don't know what you're doing, you can lose big time. You're following neighbor's advice or FOMO or those type of things. So for me, I didn't even want to leave my money in a bank account anymore, Cory. I mean, I'm at a point right now where I truly, and it's just me personally, guys, I'm struggling with my trust level of the banking system and what's going on at the level of the Federal Reserve and the manipulation. And I don't feel good about putting my money and just letting it sit in a bank anymore. And so for me,
or letting it even sit in the US dollar. I mean, you got to think 80% of the money supply is printed in the last 2 years. We're over the GDP of double the amount of the world combined, just the United States alone. I mean, you have to think ahead. No matter what you do, you have to think ahead. What do you do to protect yourself?
Yeah, in a recession, smart money diversifies. And I'm not saying, hey, you should take all your money and go put it into nodes right now. That's for you to decide what your tolerance is. But what we are seeing is a lot of people that are, looking at their 401ks that are turning into 301ks, and they're saying, okay, well, it makes sense to diversify and not have all my eggs in one basket. Maybe I'm going to take 10, maybe it's 20, maybe it's 30%, and I'm going to put it over here. What first thing, now we're giving people the ability to self-direct, and I'm going to put it to work, right? I'm going to put that money into nodes that are going to produce rewards. And those rewards have great upside potential. But even without that, you now have something you don't have over here, which is daily cash flow. And so cash is king in a recession, right? So we're seeing a lot of that 401ks, IRAs. We have real estate investors that are saying, I'm not buying a house right now. Rates are ridiculous. The values are through the roof. And they're turning around and coming over here and saying, look, I could buy a fourplex for $400,000 that pays me $2,800. 40% goes to property management, property taxes, leaves you maybe $1,800 a month profit. Or I could take that same amount of money, put it into nodes. And I'm gonna be careful here because I don't want to set an expectation, but I can tell you that we've had people that have done that have basically stepped back and said, you have got to be kidding me. The revenue that I'm generating on today's value, 10x is the revenue they were generating from their duplex. And so there's a lot of different scenarios that are out there right now. What I can tell you is we want you to make a well-informed decision. We do have an education group that's available to you that you can join. It's now over 7,000 members, but it's called the Debt Info Group on Facebook. It's 100% generic. There's no solicitation that's there. Nobody's going to try and pitch you in anything. You can go there and just learn about our projects. It's a great platform. Cory, any final words for you before we wrap up here this evening?
No, Travis, I think you did an incredible job explaining the information. The only thing that I can just add to it is, somebody that's, been in the hedge fund space and private equity management for years, I can just tell you, I just never seen anything with so much validity behind it. And another thing too, is I like what you're saying about, stored value, and just having something that you're actually in control of is powerful too. Like if I want to cash out, I can cash out at any moment, right? I love the ability to cash out. I can't go cash out my bank. I can't go to the bank tomorrow and say, hey, listen, I want to drain my bank account today. I want you to give me in cash. They're going to laugh at me, probably laugh me right out the door, right? Probably get the sheriff involved, right? And not even give you your own money, right? I like to have the ability to control my money. Another thing is I had asked myself this question too. And this is actually something I should have said. I was wondering, well, why are these companies coming to these guys? You know what I mean? Like, these oil companies, they don't need these guys. And then I heard a story that was really powerful. And I think it's a really powerful story to shed some light on here when closing up. They were talking about this huge oil project in Ghana. These guys are 3 years into this mining project, $15 million invested, and they had just started turning that oil. And when we were talking about the solutions, and Roy Nelson, that interview you did with him, he's talking about with debt in our system, we could have had that project done in 6 weeks for $750,000. I knew that we had something special. This technology is powerful, guys. And not only that, but the tokenomics that these guys have created in a self-sustaining ecosystem driven by a community with already hundreds of thousands of members will very quickly grow to millions. I don't think there's anything in the world that could pay you more money over the next couple of years than active aggressive participation in this model. Just in this model period, with the knowledge that you're going to obtain, I don't think there's anything that could pay you more money than active aggressive participation in this model.
Well, I think we're going to close out on that note. Cory, we appreciate you being here once again. Welcome to the community. We couldn't be more excited to have you. Unfortunately, we had our chat turned off tonight, or you guys would see all the excitement that I'm seeing over on this side of things. For those of you that are watching this on replay, I know that this video, yes, it will be made available for replay. Make sure that you get back to the person that invited you here. They'll be able to answer your questions. They can give you or show you a little bit more about whatever it is that you're looking for from a validity standpoint, or if you want to see how the software works, they'd be happy to share that information with you. And with that, once again, I want to say thank you so much for taking the time with us tonight. This is one of those conversations that no matter how hard I try to get it down and condensed to 45 minutes, it's a lot of information. But at the same time, I also realize that if you're going to make this decision, and most people are spending, $10,000 or $20,000 or in buying licenses, it justifies the time and it justifies the education. And that's the reason why we're doing these presentations, to make sure that you can get the information that you need. So with that, thank you so much. We appreciate you guys. Cory, thank you. And with that, you guys have a wonderful evening. God bless. Take care.
Bye, everybody.